Good morning, YouTube. Today is Friday, August 4th. We have a special guest from an undisclosed location. Welcome,
Phyllis. Do we?
We do.
I'm here. It's just a little dark.
His power went out this morning. Can't turn the light on in the room, and you can't see his face.
He's in a real estate office. Don't worry.
The sun don't shine where he's from.
Welcome.
All part of the fun, gentlemen. Thanks for having me.
Well, I was very excited to fill the screen today and have a full screen, and well, I guess we kind of do.
It's full.
Yeah.
I mean, people can see the three best looking people on the four-person podcast. It's all good.
Maybe Matt's just a social activist from the year 2020.
From the year 2020.
I think you guys didn't want me to outshine with my glowing smile is what I'm
No,
thinking.
trust me, please. If you're able to undisclose your location at any point, you're welcome to do it. What a welcome for the King of the South, Matthew Socol, another loan officer from West Penn Financial, joining us today to discuss debt-to-income ratio. And frankly, guys, as host, I was going to see if Matt could maybe fill this chair on more of a permanent basis. But boy, oh boy, not a great start for Mr. Socol.
Yeah, I think his mic's gone too. We need to work on this a little bit here, Matty. We'll get you back up and running.
Well, I've been a longtime fan of the podcast, and this is the first invite. So, there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve. So I appreciate the opportunity, and I'll just continue to strive to get better as time goes on.
That's all we can ask for.
That's great. Hold on. I think we got a caller. Hey, caller number 1 on line 2. What do you got to say? Oh, you would like to see Matt. He's a great loan officer. All right. Thanks. Caller on line 7 says you're a great loan officer, Matt.
I thought it was line 2, but
whatever.
It looks like you got a different background today. Where the hell are you in the world?
In Delaware, cuz.
I see.
Man to the free.
So sticking to the brand, I would assume you're golfing today. It's Friday.
It is. We know my brand's Friday Golf.
Mm-hmm.
I'm actually here visiting a couple of my college buddies, hanging out. We're going to play a couple rounds of golf this weekend and heading to the beach all next week. So it'll be a good, nice little vacation.
When you see college buddies, and it's probably the first time since you've seen them since you're a Hall of Fame inductee this year, do they treat you differently? Do they have to kiss a ring or anything? How's it work?
No, he actually kissed my foot last night, though. A little royalty stuff, getting going. I wasn't inducted yet, so I'm not an official Hall of Fame guy. That's not going to come until the end of September. So this is just like a preparation weekend. He's writing his speech for me, so we're getting it all figured out.
Nice. Anthony, looks like you're in your usual backyard. What do we got going on today?
In the Bahamas, got the backdrop back there, No. What's going on today? Pre-approvals and maybe a little R&R.
Yeah, jet skiing. Do I hear jet skis?
You do. So the kid's been wanting to go out. I haven't been out all year, so gonna go out there for a little bit and then finish up as soon as I get back. So
that's sweet. She old enough to drive one of those bad boys yet? How old do you got to be to drive them?
You know what? You only have to be, believe it or not, as long as you have your boater safety course, you only have to be, I believe it's 12.
What?
So, yeah.
That can't be right.
Yeah,
I'm gonna remember that next time I get on one too. That there's a little.
I want to fact check that. Anyone out there that is boater safety expert in Pennsylvania, I'd like to know if you can actually be 12 years old and drive a watercraft. But in the LaPera family,
I'm gonna look it up just to be safe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, awesome. Well, boys, let's get into it quick because I know Tom's got a tea time. Last episode, we talked debt-to-income ratio, income.
Hold on. 12 to 15 years of age may operate a personal watercraft so long as they're on board. That under 15 years of age, person must be 16 years of age to legally rent one, but 12 to 15 years old may operate a personal watercraft as long as you have your boater certification.
There you go.
There you go.
be on board. Oh, here we go. The Chatterbox came in with the same information. You're just a little late, Chatterbox. Day late and $1 short. But hey, good job, Anth, on that Google. So getting into debts, right? We got to get into mortgage talk eventually here. A lot of buyers don't understand how we have to calculate debts. That's why we brought Matt in, the debt expert, king of the South down there in all the South offices. Welcome. If this is your first episode of the Chatterbox, we're expanding the viewing area to more Berkshire Hathaway offices since Matt covers pretty much every office in the South. We should have given you time to explain who you are, Matt, but since you couldn't get your camera work, you lost that privilege.
Fair enough.
I know that you understand debts, and the biggest debt right now that is misunderstood is student loans. A lot of buyers think because they've been in deferment or forbearance or whatever this has been the last couple years, instead of most buyers taking advantage of interest-free and paying down, they say, oh, don't got to pay those, and no one's paid them for a couple years. And they don't think that that accounts against your debt-to-income ratio for mortgages, but we all know that's not the case. And it can actually hurt buyers that were potentially in a income-based scenario earlier. So, Matthew, student loans, what do you got for us?
Great. Student loans is a very interesting topic. Something that's changed, how many times over the last 10 years, right? It's always something I tell people it's continuously monitored. But when I explain it to people, it doesn't have to be overwhelming. Just because you have student loan debt doesn't mean you can't qualify for a mortgage. In its simplest form, we're going to be using the payment that you're making that's showing up on your credit report. Or if there is no payment, say, like Rye said, if it's in the deferment, we're going to be looking at a percentage, somewhere between 1% to 0.5%. So it still can be something that's manageable. It's something that's accounted for, and it's something that can still qualify you for the home. But I mean, this goes for not just student loans, but really any debts and really the mortgage process in general. When I'm talking to the public, it's just don't assume anything, really. Call somebody on this screen here and let us walk you through it to see the options.
Or someone that's not on the screen. give that guy a call too.
Yeah, right. Give that guy a call. See if you can find him in real time.
You know where I think he is? I think he's at the CIA headquarters next to Rockefellers in Kennedy.
Maybe. I mean, I think that's DEA, but that's okay. I think if you actually search the guy on social media, you won't be able to find him either. That's the funny part. But
on brand.
You're exactly right. We do have to count a payment because debt to income ratio is mostly based off of, what we're looking at monthly. A lot of times even the public will say, well, I have X amount in debt. We don't really care about the overall amount. We need that monthly payment, whether it's student loans, credit cards, your auto payment. We definitely need to see the monthly breakdown. So when you're trying to figure out all your monthly debts, we got to add those together. But Matt broke it down pretty easy. We have to count the payment that is currently being used. And if it's zero or it's nothing, that's when it can become more problematic, where we have to use a calculation depending on the loan type itself. And I know Matt's with us with pre-approvals when we pull that credit and we're looking at the credit report. Not only the credit scores, of course, are important, but we're getting into that analysis of the credit report. And is there anything particularly you see that comes to mind on a credit report, Matt, that is a red flag or something that is, hey, I see this a lot, that I'd just like to get that misconception out there?
Oh, good question.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah. The number one thing I guess I see, because a lot of the credit reports, they're not perfect because they're just a snapshot in time. And, people understanding that you're going to get one of your free services typically that has a score. And the score that we see is very rarely the same. It's always going to have some degree of different, but it's about half the time it's a little bit lower than people think, and half the time it's a little bit higher. Yeah. Again, call us, let's find out. So that's probably like the one misconception that I always try to get across. And then 2 is just other than that, it's watch, inquiries, and not necessarily like, in this world, you got to kind of get debt to get more debt, and we get that. But just when you are looking for a home, be cautious of, getting the new car, getting the new credit debts, and making sure you relay that to us early in the process if that's part of the plan, or if you've done it recently. A well-versed loan officer can basically find that out through the credit report, but not always. Sometimes they might do it right after and not understand that can go into that debt to income ratio that you were talking about, and will come up eventually.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, how often, guys, we can all answer this, do we see a debt under 10 months old that's a huge payment? You're like, oh man, if you could have waited or done this prior to that, you'd have a whole different ball game of what you could qualify for a house. And a lot of times buyers will ask me, well, how much is this credit pull gonna hurt my score? Real answer, no one has any freaking clue. Why?
Ryan, I just had that this week in real estate agent. I got her pre-approved. We ran the credit last week. She came to me this week. She said, Tom, everybody lies. My credit score, you just pulled my credit last week and it went up 20 points. I said, yeah, because it does. We never know which way it's going to go. It all depends with not just the inquiry, with what you did last month with your payments.
And I mean, it's what type of pull it is, right? If you're looking at Credit Karma compared to getting a car, they're all different algorithms. They're all different scoring models. Read the fine print. It all tells you what scoring models being used. So no one knows what their mortgage credit score is. We're looking at credit score for a mortgage, not for your FICO, not for your auto, not what Macy's told you. So unless you've had a mortgage credit pull, no one knows what your credit score is, and no one really knows how much that's going to affect it. But if you have not had any credit pulls or one credit pull in the last 120 days, you should not be worried about getting your credit pulled for mortgage purposes, and do that sooner than later, because a West Penn Financial pre-approval is good for 120 days. Senior, what do you got for us?
So for the fact check for the credit bureau, they're stating that it only accounts for less than 5% of your overall rating. So like you were saying, it depends on what you've done over the last 120 days. If you've applied for multiple items all at the same time, it's going to affect you differently than somebody that hasn't applied for anything at all over the last 120 days, because you're applying for credit. But the whole point of the 120 days is so the credit bureau gives the creditor that time to report. And if nothing's reported, then it falls off. But if you're applying for a bunch of things, then yeah, it looks like you're applying for just a lot of credit, and that's where it affects you negatively and impacts you. So,
Word. Well, Tommy, I know you got to run. Great episode today. I wish you and Matt could have been side by side, brothers in arms. But hey, maybe we'll get that next week.
Yeah, maybe we'll give him a redemption shot. I feel kind of bad for you, Matt. I do. I mean, I'm going on Amazon after this. I'm going to send you a camera. So we'll put that in your little USB-C port. And I honestly feel bad for you, brother. We'll get you something working.
I mean, it is very disappointing that he did show up 3 minutes before we started and the camera didn't work on episode 1.
We got to give him another chance. I might even get one of those light rings, to make his face glow.
I got it. I can send
it.
You
got it. Yeah.
I was going to say, the saddest part is I have like a version of all these things. You just got to bust them out of the closet. And, again, I'm an underdog. So you're just going to get better. We're going to come from, back of the pack, and we'll be back.
We can only grow from here. That's the good thing.
Exactly.
Hey! If his microphone doesn't work on Tuesday, we might have a problem. So
I think I'm gonna have a problem if his camera doesn't work Tuesday. So Anthony, send him out a fake link. Let's see if he can get in. Have him fix it.
Yeah, maybe show up 10 minutes before we start. Give that a go. But hey, you're right. It's on brand for Matt Socol. The guy is not super techie, but he knows mortgages. That's all that matters. And if you're an agent in the South and you need pre-approvals and accurate numbers, you need to call Matt Socol. Plain and simple. Boom.
Toodaloo, boys.
All right, that's it for me. Anyone else?
Okay.
Thanks, gentlemen. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. See you guys.